Coach Teresa Ford here, and this is the Guiding You Home podcast. This is a thought-provoking and often humorous approach to moving you closer to the only one who can genuinely help you live a life of abundance and prosperity. Sound good? Yeah, it's you that needs to go within so you can sit in the driver's seat of your life, co-creating with God. So make room for more light and knowledge. As you continue to listen, you will discover elements of how to lead with your inner light, how to act on your specific promptings, and how to follow your spiritual intuition so you can fulfill the measure of your creation. Thanks for being here, and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome. Here we are, year 2022. It is the middle of January, and I have just taken my time through this first half of the year. You know, I've known a lot of people that are rather unmotivated at the new year, and recently I said to someone, it's just a Saturday. It's not the rest of your life yet. Because they just couldn't see the year ahead. There was just too much grief and turmoil going on in their life. And so just when I jump on here and I'm kind of excited, it's actually taken me 13 days to get on board with a new year and what that means. And honestly, I wanted to talk today about setting our priorities. Clear back at the beginning of December, I was thinking to myself, what would my theme be for next year? And I would much rather have a theme because it keeps me focused. It's super simple, one theme, and everything falls underneath it. And I was sitting and doing some of my own coaching work, trying to discover what is holding me back in my life right now. Because I've done a lot of work, let me tell you. But I've uncovered a lot of things over the years, but this time I still have an essence of not wanting to be ridiculed because that was my life growing up. I mean, who wants to be ridiculed, right? But I didn't have thick skin. I was a very sensitive child. And I realized that to a degree is still a belief system that is not serving me well anymore. So when I uncovered not wanting to be ridiculed, then I had to check what was the opposite of that. And the answer came, be expressive. And the freedom to be expressive. So that's what this episode is about, the freedom to be expressive. I have also done something that I just never thought I would be able to do, and that was to sit down and be intentional about meditating. And I am not the traditional Om meditator. I am somebody who has a very busy brain, and quieting the brain is a challenge, but I found that I don't have to follow the protocols that everybody says you have to follow. I have found that my flow of inspiration through my intuition comes when I'm actively thinking, not fixated on problems, not reviewing all the hard things that have happened, but rather thinking about things I love, people I love, and focusing on the things that bring me peace and happiness and joy now. So I'll hear myself think these thoughts, and I know I didn't come up with it because I wasn't specifically thinking about the answer. I was just letting the answer come to me. And I think in my desire to be expressive this year, I've got to let the experiences come to me. And that's one of the things that came up recently, like last week in meditation, when I was sitting still. So that's what still is, my body. I was sitting still and my mind was lost on some of my family members whom I love very much. And the idea popped into my head, let the experience come to you. Now, I was thinking it was for them, because that's who I was thinking about, and I knew their struggles at this time. And so I was thinking they're trying to force an experience to happen instead of allowing that experience to come to them. And I think that is a very important idea, because when we express ourselves, we express in the now. We don't ever express in the future, so to speak. We express right here, right now, what's in front of us, what is happening around us. Like, I was just now meditating and thinking on this very subject, and the answer said, do it now. Because yesterday I had the idea to podcast again, and I didn't. I just sat in the idea, loving the idea, and I didn't actually do anything about it. So I didn't express myself, which is so interesting how we can get in our own way like that. So then I was like, well, if I want to express myself, then I would just do it. So I got up and I turned on my computer, and here I am sitting in my pajamas and right out of meditation, bedhead and all. And I just thought, this is the time to do it, because it's when I feel inspired to do it. And here I am, I'm expressing myself, which is, to me, that's using my voice. Whereas before, when I would think about using my voice, I felt this background noise of, I don't want to be ridiculed for what I say or how I say it, or if somebody doesn't understand where I'm coming from and that sort of thing, because expressing yourself and being ridiculed as a child also has this need to, this desire to be understood. So we'll just talk about it, hoping to receive understanding when it's not actually being offered, because it's nobody else's job to understand us. It's our job to understand ourselves. So here I am thinking, okay, I'm going to express myself. I'm going to say what's on my heart and not think too hard about what it is I'm going to say. Like, none of this is prepared. I'm just like shooting from the hip, right? Apparently my hip is where my intuition lies. It's where the inspiration is. So shooting from the hip, and I'm just contemplating this idea of expressing myself in 22. It's never too late to set an intention, a goal, a theme for your life. And this is just what came up for me, because I was actually doing the work of removing some trapped beliefs that have not been serving me, because it's always running in the background. Now I feel more free. I feel more free to say what I want to say, the way I want to say it. And when I bring that up and you're listening, you have a gift. You have a point of view. And when you use it to lift others up, it is a huge gift to yourself. And when you use it to tell other people they're wrong, or that the way you believe is the way it ought to be with everybody, and not accepting or allowing other people to express themselves in with their truth, even if you can tell that they might be struggling or whatever, it's not what you believe, now that you are where you are and you understand what you understand and you're living your truth the way you're living your truth, it's important to express yourself and leave the place better than you found it. Leave that space of expression better than you found it. That is when the gifts are given. So expressing yourself has a lot to do with how you're living your life. Are you living with resistance? You know you should exercise, but you're not. And I'm speaking from experience here. You know you should be meditating and getting quiet instead of being so busy, but you're not, because you're afraid you can't. Speaking again from experience. And then, like, eating well or creating, and where's your resistance? Because wherever there's resistance, there is no self-expression. None. You're just not doing what you are being called to do. The only reason you ever have a desire to express yourself is because you're being called to do that. You will find your own personal growth in the expression of you. So it's so interesting, because usually I don't teach anything I haven't actually experienced myself. And so in 2019, before the world shut down, I was being called to start painting, but I don't have a studio. I didn't have the supplies. I was like, how am I going to find time to paint when I'm trying to build a business? Like, all the why nots showed up. And then it took me about a year to pull the supplies together, to stop overthinking it, to get the confidence to just start practicing, to find the things that made me feel light and inspired, that other artists were doing and to copy what they were doing and their methods just to see what happened on my paper and what came out on the canvas. And so it's been a year of just practicing, but I love it. I wear black and white, but I paint in rainbows. I paint in bright colors, usually oranges, deep purples, and just eye-popping blues. It happens to be also the landscape that I live in with the red rocks, the blue sky, and the purple mountains. It's incredible. Like, I can't get enough of those colors. So I've been painting in those colors and experimenting with techniques, and that is a form of expression, to create. Back when I was raising kids, one of my expressions of creativity was to cut out pictures of rooms. Like, if I hadn't become a coach or had been in fitness for 16 years, I would have been an interior decorator. I would have been a designer of interior homes. And so I would cut out, or I would rip out pages out of the Better Homes and Gardens magazines and any house magazines I could get my hands on, and I put them in a binder so that I would have all my favorite inspirations at my fingertips. This was before the internet, clearly. But this is what I would do as a means of creativity when I was raising 5 kids, until I could actually have a house that I could decorate, or the budget to decorate. I did that as inspiration, so I'd be ready to actually do the creating in reality, but I was pre-creating, if you will. And I feel like we can do what we can do to pre-create before maybe the circumstances are just right to do the creating. So that's why we're here on earth. We're here to do the creating. If we're not being creative, there's not a lot of fun in our life. And when fun is out of balance, it means that we're struggling, that there's too much emotional chaos going on. It's out of balance. There's just too much work going on, not a lot of fun. We have to, if we're going to express ourselves, we've got to find a balance between finding, even like I have kids that are in the middle of parenting and working and just managing life as they're growing older, their kids are growing older, their families are getting bigger, the demand is higher. I remember going through all of that, and it's like you can't hardly catch your breath or get a moment to yourself. But even a 15-minute journaling session is a way of expressing yourself, and it's a way of expressing your hopes, wishes, and desires as a pre-expression to doing the creating. But we're always in the process of creating a new version of ourselves, and if we're doing that works for us, it feels amazing. If we're doing it to work against ourselves, anti-creativity, by using resistance, like, well, I would, but I can't, or, I only have 15 minutes. It's not enough time to do anything. That kind of thinking is holding us back. It's keeping us from doing what we can, even in a 15-minute window. So even if you need 15 minutes just to think to yourself, so you go hide in the shower, you stay in the shower a little longer in the steam, which is an awesome place to envision creativity. It is, when you get in the shower and it feels so good and you're just standing there letting the water run over your body, that your brain goes into creative mode and you think about solutions. And your creativity can even be around how to manage your family better in a new circumstances. The kids are getting older and new requirements need to be put into place so the kids have boundaries and healthy value systems that are being instilled while still letting them discover life and make their mistakes so they can learn from them. Like, there's a lot of ways to be creative in how we parent, how we manage our new selves every day, how we want to fit exercise in. I've told this story before, but when I was 5 kids deep between the ages of 3 and 13, I wanted to exercise. And every day I was like, kids are under my feet. I can't exercise during the day. I can't get it done. I don't want them watching me. I don't feel confident in myself. Like I just didn't need the audience at the time. And my creativity came by putting them in bed sooner, which meant I had to move dinner up and have it sooner and get the homework done earlier and all of that, so I could get them in bed at 9, so I could go to bed at 9, so then I could get up at 5. I wasn't like dragging, trying to do more on less sleep. And that was a form of creativity. So I could get up at 5 and have a whole hour to myself, 5 to 6, before everybody got out of bed and got going on homeschooling. So your creativity can come in a lot of different ways. It doesn't mean you have to have an entire art studio set up before you can do art. It doesn't mean that you have to have a popular blog to start blogging. It doesn't mean you have to have a role model for how to parent, that you can be creative and come up with your own methods for parenting. Or you can even ask your powers that be, what book should I be reading? And lo and behold, the book will just jump out at you. You will find it. It will be handed to you. It will be gifted to you. It will show up in your news feed. It will show up on your Amazon account. Like, it will just show up, and it'll be your favorite thing. So when you are looking to express yourself this year, and you can come up with your own theme, and I bet you anything, your theme will have something to do with expressing yourself freely, being the creator, we're here for the creating, right? We're not here for the creation, because that means we would be done. We're here for the creating, and we'll always want to create something new, rearranging the furniture, making a new meal. Like, it's all about creativity. And this morning, as I was sitting in my meditation, I try and ask this question more often than not, is what is the most important thing I can do today? So I oftentimes don't have a to-do list, which is almost petrifyingly scary to some people who live and die by their list. I do have lists, it's the busy stuff. It's like, check on this person, or call up this company and sort this out, or, record this information somewhere where I'll find it. There's the to-do list, of course. But I was just asking, what is the most important thing I can do today? And then I gave myself like a subcategory of my priorities, and I just sat there. And I sat there and listened. I had somebody ask me recently, how do you, they're like, they couched it as, this is a very personal question. I'm like, shoot, what? And they said, how do you pray? I said, well, the normal, gratitude, thanking for all of my blessings, the basics, right? Health, housing, relationships, that sort of thing. I said, but the new thing that I have done in the last couple of years is listening, just sitting after thinking. Then I ask, and then I listen. I'll do another podcast on that and go more in depth, but listening. And when I sat and listened after asking the question, what is the most important thing I can do today? My priorities showed up as listen to the scriptures, listen to a lesson, somebody that's learned, more learned than me. And then what came up was exercise. Okay, so I have been on a 3-year sabbatical. I've exercised here and there. I've found pockets of motivation and energy to do it, but I haven't been consistent. I haven't found the joy in it since I closed my fitness studio. And I told everybody, even when I was in fitness, I don't love to work out. I love being with the people. I love the way working out makes me feel afterwards. But when I'm in the middle of it, my brain is like, are we done yet? How about now? And like, I haven't really been able to turn that one off because I get too impatient. It's like, let's just get it over with. I have more important things to be doing than this. And that's not necessarily true, or it would make me feel better, right? If you've listened to any of the other episodes, you know that if you're telling yourself a true story, it feels really good. But that one doesn't make me feel good. So it's not true. But that's still my busy brain, not my inner guidance system talking to me, right? So as soon as I thought exercise, I thought I need to shift that energy to be the creator. And so what I came up with, the most important things I can be doing today in order that they came up for me in meditation, was scriptures, meditation, exercise, eating well, create something, and do my writing. And when I write, man, things get clear. Like if I start writing about a problem, what I think, that's my brain, what I think is a problem, my inner guidance answers, and it becomes clear that it's really not a problem at all, that I just need to let go and focus on stay in my lane, right? So writing helps me sort things out. And I will say that if you've had a traumatic childhood, it is very common to still have a busy brain that wants to focus on what has been or what happened, what something that wasn't fair or was out of balance. Your brain still wants to go there if you're not in the habit of meditating and being still and putting your brain on something that makes you feel light and enlivened. This last December was one that I don't ever want to repeat. Like my husband and I were sick for the whole month, the whole entire month. We spent Christmas. We didn't put up a tree because we were going to go to families' houses. And we sat there during Christmas in our recliners, in our pajamas, coughing, sniffing, and feeling like garbage. We're like, Merry Christmas. It was terrible. We missed being with our family. We missed all the joy of having kids around us, which is pretty much part of the biggest elements of making Christmas merry. And it was just miserable. And I got out of the habit of doing a deliberate prayer, sit down meditation, writing. Those are the things that have really amped up my ability to hear my inner guidance system. And I just felt dead. I felt detached. I felt uninspired. And it's taking me a minute because we just barely got back from delivering Christmas to all of our kids in the other end of the state. And so it was like, January 10th, we finally could move on with our life. It just really stopped for about 30 days. And I lost my inspiration to be expressive. And so I'm like, all right, if I'm not in this every day, and maybe you've experienced this too, that if you're not dedicated to doing something that has really moved the needle for you on a regular basis, that you kind of lose it, that your brain goes back to all the problems of your childhood. Like my dreams shift and they go back to trying to fight the bad guys in my childhood, and who I thought were the bad guys. And so I have very restless sleep and all of that. So overcoming trauma is whatever you do on a daily basis, you get more of that. So when I find ways to sit down and get peaceful and get quiet and be deliberate about my thoughts and tuning into my Heavenly Father, tuning into light and love, it changes everything. And my ability to be more expressive, like I would not be doing this episode right now had I not done the work that keeps me in the zone, So being expressive for me is about being consistently doing the things that bring me love and light, that bring me inspiration, that allow me to hear my inner guidance system, not my busy brain that, shoots from fear. So the other thing that I wrote down, which was funny, that came up from my inner guidance system was, when I was contemplating why I have resistance against exercising and whatnot, it says, do it. Resistance is for beginners. And I was like, oh, okay, well, thank you for not making me feel like I've never done this before. I do know what helps and what doesn't. And that was a good reminder for me that I don't have to sit there resisting. I mean, literally, to motivate us, we got a Peloton for Christmas. That was our Christmas gift to ourselves. And we received it the day we both came down with the garbage. We both got sick. And so we covered it, and it's just been sitting in our garage. And here we are on the 13th of January, and my husband went out and uncovered it. And yesterday I actually tried on my shoes. So it was like, we're getting there. It's getting closer. So don't overthink it. I was like, yeah. Because you can overthink it or you can live it. You just get up. Don't even think about it. Just put your body where your inspiration says it ought to be. Like, sometimes when your kids are resisting going to the store or going home from the store and they just don't want to go and they just flop down and they're kicking and screaming. I've actually seen parents, it's just, to me, it's hilarious that they pick the kid up by the back of the coat. They're all zipped into their coat and they just carry him like a suitcase out to the car. And it just cracks me up because that's how we are sometimes. We just flop on the floor and we're like, I want to go ride my bike. I want to get fit. I want to get it, well, I don't care. I have no use for a six-pack anymore. That was a great idea when I was 10 years ago. But I do want to stay active and be in my grandkids' lives. I want to go do what they can do. So that's my motivation these days. So, when I'm like, I want to stay active, I want to be independent forever. I don't ever want to be in a rest home kind of thing. I need to follow my inspiration and not ask, oh, how long is it going to take? Oh, but it's going to be hard because you're not fit now. Like, it just, my brain can really get in the way. And I know you've probably experienced this as well, but to live your life, just pick your body up, grab yourself by the scruff of the neck and carry yourself like a suitcase out to where the exercise is, out to where the nutritionally dense foods can be found, out to, your writing spot or your meditative spot, like just suitcase yourself to that place. And then you will find yourself the next day being a little more deliberate about your creative and expressive self. You'll find yourself just following your inspiration, following your intuition to go and do the things that take you down the path of who you're becoming. That is why we're here. It's for the expansion. And we don't expand if we resist. Those are polar opposites. So being expressive this year, using your voice, using your gifts, developing your talents, expressing yourself in writing. Like I have journals and journals and journals. And I use this, I think I've said this before, I use a spiral notebook because it doesn't have to be fancy. Just get it on paper, get it out of your head and onto the paper. And you'll see the answers. They just flow out the end of your pen. Whether you're typing or old school writing, it is the same because you literally have to get into that space of what am I writing, concentrating on the actual manual effort of it all. And all of a sudden it turns into a meditation where your spirit is telling your head what to say and your head is translating it into words and then it's coming out the end of your pen. Like it's a 3-step process, but it's in such a meditative state that you just start flowing with it. You're not thinking about it anymore. And your intentions are coming up from your inner guidance system, and it takes the work out of it. And then when you read it back, you're like, holy cow, I couldn't have thought that on my own. I'd never had that thought or said it that way or found such peace in the solution. So when you live your life and you follow it, it takes you to the path of who you're meant to become, today. I mean, we say this year that today's all that's guaranteed. Tomorrow's not here yet. So all the todays strung together make a year. So today you have the power to do what is in you to follow. So the big aha at the end of my meditation today was live your life, follow it. I think following it is following your inner guidance system, your impulses to get up and go do something because it feels good. That's how you know you're following your impulses. That's how you know you're about to express yourself in a way that's going to feel really good to you. When we express ourselves, it's not for anybody else. It's for you. So I might be putting this out there and you might have had an impulse to listen to it, but it was for me first, and that's why I'm doing this. And if you receive benefit from it because you had an impulse, because you were led to this, because you were searching for something, it's probably going to be a benefit to you because you are the active listener. It is for you if you're hearing it. So that is how that's the epitome of expression. It's for you first, and others very easily could benefit from it. So I challenge you, I suggest to you to go out and express yourself. That today is the only day you have, and to make the most of it will be your favorite thing. Talk to you soon. Thanks for listening. I invite you to leave your feedback and share your aha moments as you listen to this podcast. Also, you can access more information or any of the programs, courses, or worksheets that I've mentioned on these episodes on my website at 𝐃𝐸𝐴Ford.life. Or what I would really love is for you to connect with me on Instagram at 𝐃𝐸𝐴Ford.coaching and on Facebook at Coaching with Teresa Ford, so I can give you more interesting insights and further coaching to help you fulfill the measure of your creation.